Hello there, Sir from 17 once again. This is the texture that refuses to load, and it's unfortunate too because this is a very beautiful game, but that texture for some reason wasn't having any of it, and I stood in front of it for a minute or two and I decided to speed it up so you didn't have to watch me wait for that texture to not load. This is Quantum Break. This is my hard difficulty walkthrough. This is Act 3 Part 1, the Research Facility. Right now, the game's going to introduce you to the ability to slow down time. It's also going to give us the awesome Time Rush melee attack, which is a quick time event that only procs sometimes. So be very careful when you run at an enemy, because sometimes it isn't there. And when it's not there, you can't do it, which is really annoying and frustrating, but it only happens very rarely. So just be aware that occasionally you can get screwed. For the most, you should be fine. This is one of the most powerful abilities. I would not blame you if you upgraded it, because I think it's a ton of fun. But once again, it breaks the game because it makes you too strong. You can get away from any situation and nobody can do a single thing about it. It's insanely powerful. But I was talking on the previous video about what I thought we would do in those junction missions to differentiate the gameplay and to build up towards a final boss that never happened. So I thought that Paul was going to focus on time abilities and not using guns, because our character seems to be all guns, was trained in Lao how to use guns, got into scuffles in Bangkok, he is a gun guy, we're using guns, Remedy are known for guns. So I thought to counterbalance him, the bad guy would be a dude who didn't necessarily use guns and other people used guns for him, and instead he could fight and he could use these time abilities. We see at the beginning of the game, he uses the time abilities to kill Will's brother. Oh, sorry, to kill Will, Jack's brother, sorry. Here's another one of the time puzzles where you freeze it, you use the slow-mo run, or you use a combination of both, depending on what you want to do. And occasionally you get to fight the geometry, because the movement in this game when you're not fighting feels a little bit weird. Not the biggest fan, personally. It's just that awkward Remedy that they've always kind of had. In Alan Wake it was endearing, in this game it feels kind of janky, just because modern games have done it much better.
It was just our people there.
So this is where I thought it was going. I thought we were going to have almost nightmare sequences in The End of Time. This place everyone's talking about, but we never get to see in the game, even though it almost seemed like it was building towards it, and then it never shows up, which is a horrible thing in my opinion. So picture this, yeah. The first time we saw Jack Serene in his military gear, where he's got the holster that's got the padding on the back, and he looks cool as shit, and he's walking through like a badass, and he doesn't have a gun in his hand, I don't think, at that time. Imagine him in a super messed up post-apocalyptic time has ended future with these shifter creatures that the game's talking about, these unkillable things that are just stalking him through this timeline. And I thought you were going to do all these kind of crazy melee powers, boosting into people, and when you press the trigger, maybe he did some kind of context-sensitive combo thing. And every time you did these different powers, it led to different results of cool features, of somehow melee combat, and a complete different gameplay to what we play as Jack. And you might think, well, this sounds like it's too much, and it might have been, but this is where I make it work, I think. Then when you get to the final boss, he's using all those moves you've seen, because you've used them. So you know exactly the rhythm of them, the 1-2 punch, or the dive kick, or whatever he had. Use your imagination here, guys. So you know exactly how to dodge them, and it's just this awesome, like, you could have even had your character drop his guns, and you had a similar moveset. So there's two people clashing in time, everything's going nuts, doing this awesome fucking Matrix shit, and it never happens! It's the most anticlimactic thing in the world, and it's kind of awesome that it's that way, because one of the greatest things about expectations is that when it doesn't do anything like what you're expecting, that's when it can sometimes become great. Like, look at movies. Movies had happy endings for the longest time, and then every so often a film comes along where it just slaps you in the face and says, get over it, and it's this awful gut-punching ending. And it felt so brilliant because all we'd seen were heroes winning and sunsets and smiles and, you know, Scientology events as Han Solo gets his medal for saving Ewok and everything. And then the bad ones were so shocking. So here's me expecting this to go full-on Power Rangers in space, and it just kind of doesn't. So maybe that's an endearing factor to some people, I don't know. You know, maybe it's more grounded in reality of these two best friends who aren't, you know, warriors. They're not these crazy time machine space super martial artists. But I just really wanted it to be a thing. I really did. And I thought it was moving towards it. When you got the time slow ability and you jumped off the wall and punched, I thought it'd just be an awesome fisticuffs final boss, and I'm not going to talk much about the final boss because I think it's a piece of shit, the one I have fought. I'm hoping and devoutly wishing that on the other choice, the end game is way more impressive, because if Burke and Serene are the bosses of this game does not understand how to do bosses. And that's coming from Max Payne, that had good bosses that were legitimately dangerous but didn't take all that too many bullets, unless you talk about the crazy Valkyria guy who talks about being like a disciple of Satan and he's got that big face tattoo. He took a ton of bullets to the face. But for the most, the bosses in those games, well, from what I remember, like the Angel of Death level on Max Payne 1 where you have to kill those hitmen, that one was a cool because they were tough but they died quick, and that's the perfect kind of compromise in a boss. Whereas in this game, I don't think I've ever been hit by Burke because he's so pathetic, and then Serene hits you all the time, but that's just because he's got a god laser that goes through the walls, but it doesn't kill you unless it's bang on. I don't know. I've never been killed by it anyway. But that's what I thought it was going to do, folks, and I thought that's what it was building towards. The entire game is building towards the end of time, and I thought that's where it would end, but it never even gets there, and to me, that was another one of the big disappointments. But this mission is really great. I think this is a really fun mission because it's got a nice mixture of exposition, of truths, and of gameplay. Some of the gameplay in this section coming up is really, really good, and I particularly love these sequences. That door, by the way, hardest enemy in the game, killed me about 3 times because I was trying to be fancy. Didn't have any of my shit, killed me instead. This dude up here is going to punch you unless you stop him. I stopped him. And you'll notice Jack goes, holy shit. And if you didn't do what I did then, the guy will come out of time and punch you in the face, and then he'll freeze again. This is a dampening field. This is the first exposure to the dampening technology. I'm not too sure why they don't have dampening grenades or some kind of dampening tools, because I think it would have made some of the shootouts a lot harder. A lot more interesting if they could take your powers away from you. I do think one of the greatest parts of this game is when they take your abilities from you. And that sounds kind of, you know, counterproductive, doesn't it? Oh, here we go, another dangerous door. Don't let him kill you, hardest enemy in the game. These two guys are not frozen. They're wearing the suits and the harnesses, so kill them quickly. It's not a difficult fight. I love that too, that effect where people freeze. In most games, this would be a bug, because they haven't fallen down and gone into ragdolls, but in this game, because of course it's frozen in time, it has these wonderful just static shots of timelessness, and I love it. This right now is introducing the heavy, so this is the first maybe challenging fight of a game that doesn't have any. He's going to fire grenades to put pressure on you, and his buddies are going to shoot you when you get out of cover. Kill his buddies and then we can focus on him. So right now, the strategy for this guy is simple. If you have a shotgun, you can kill this dude in, I think, 3 shots. Wait until your time run is full, the time rush, and then freeze him to stop him, run behind him, and shoot his backpack. Get away, regenerate, repeat ad nauseam. I'm going to be using weaker weapons here just for the purposes of doing it a little differently, but did you notice how I just ran past a shotgun? They've put a shotgun in this room because it's the best way to kill this guy. I don't know if you can kill him by just shooting at him. This is the strategy I've always used, and I think it's the strategy the game seems to want you to use. But do you see what I mean, though, when I'm talking about challenge? At no point am I in any danger here, because whenever he gets close enough to do damage to me, I'll regenerate so quickly and be away from where he was shooting that it really doesn't matter. And this is the problem. This thing should have killed you instantly if you got remotely touched. And that would have made him legitimately dangerous. You would have needed to move. But as it stands, you can just stand miles away from him, out of his line of sight, and there's nothing he can do. I don't know, guys. Maybe I'm getting too old and too critical. I'm not sure. Maybe I've just turned into a grumpy old man. Maybe I'm the George Carlin of video games without all the awesome, you know, things that George Carlin actually did. I'm a bootleg Carlin of video games. Which I've never understood, you know, the people that criticise Carlin for being really pessimistic and cynical. He was a comedian. A lot of his act was the vile venom and bitterness towards, you know, the way society works. And the way that we're flawed as a species, yet we continue to repeat those flaws and glorify them in a lot of ways. That was his bit. You can't judge the man based on his act. What the fuck is that about? I don't know. I don't think I'm being overly critical of this game. personally. You might think I am. A lot of people think I am. And it doesn't necessarily bother me because I'm trying to be honest here, guys. I'm trying to share my feelings. And to a lot of people, it's not to their taste. To some people, they really like it. And, that's the beauty of YouTube. Everybody can put out what they feel and how they approach and how they perceive and see things. And I see things in a very specific way. And Quantum Break, objectively to me, is too easy. And I don't say that to insult people who are struggling, and I don't say that to make out that I'm some kind of, paradigm of gaming. I'm not this paragon of third-person shooters, even though I'm pretty good at third-person shooters because I've played nearly all of them. I was thinking about this the other day. Another texture there not loading in. GG's. In the last 10 to 15 years, I have played probably every single third-person shooter that wasn't an MMO, if there are any. Like, I didn't play Defiance, and I haven't played The Division. But aside from them, I've pretty much played all of them. Which is kind of crazy when you think about it. Similar with a lot of things, I don't realise just how much I consume when it comes to games. And you probably know different, you yourself. We consume so many different titles so quickly because none of it holds our attention like it used to. And then you think back when you were younger, some of the games you spent years playing because you had no choice, because, you had to wait till Christmas and birthdays for more games, or you traded with friends or borrowed and things. But even then, the way you consumed games was on such a smaller scale. Nowadays, there's so much all the time, and you really don't realise just how much you've played.
Quite expensive piece of
And I think that's how I know that I love games, and I still love games even after all this time, because there's still moments within them where I feel that just boyish excitement of something happening on screen that's truly great, even though, I've played a lot of games. Collectively, we've played a lot of games. And that's why games need to step up and constantly keep evolving, because if they don't, it just gets to a point where, creativity is redundant. And I never want to face that, which is one of the things why I think sequels are such a detrimental thing to progress, because sequels are just glorifying nostalgia in a lot of ways. And don't get me wrong, they can be amazing. I was reading recently today, there's rumours that the new God of War is based on Norse mythology, which is what I've been wanting for God of War since God of War 2, and I think it could be a really, really cool and valid change to that series that it needs to rejuvenate it, get some fresh blood in its veins, because that is a game that has fantastic sim systems, fantastic mechanics, but it's always the same.